Alright, what's going on YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video. Now this is going to be your full Title Update 10 patch notes. The entire thing, your full patch notes. The only thing I'm going to try to skip over are the individual weapon nerfs and buffs. I'll just tell you the big ones. And I will also try to skip over some of the raid stuff because we already know about it. And yeah, I'll try to make those parts a little bit quicker. This is still going to be a pretty long video, so buckle up and bring out your popcorn. And here are your full Title Update 10 patch notes. So the patch notes start off with Season 2. Season 2 starts tomorrow. Title Update 10 will also start tomorrow. So the maintenance tonight at the daily reset will be for 4 hours. And then afterwards you will have Title Update 10 and you will have Season 2. So it gives us information on Season 2. It will be called Keener's Legacy. It'll be a 12-week long season. The first activity of the Season 2 will be the manhunt. So we start off with our first manhunt. When you finish the entire season and all the manhunts at the end, it'll give you that new skill variant, the healing trap. So kind of like your shock trap, but instead of shocking people, it's going to heal you and your allies. Now it also said that there's going to be a new global event called Hollywood, a new apparel event called Phoenix Down, and then the new leagues are going to be called Termite, Luna, Huntsman, and Titan. And that's basically going to be your entire Season 2. The rest are going to be different manhunts for that Keener's Legacy, and then of course some global events that we had in Season 1. Now just so you guys know, all of the dialogue and story, whatever audio that comes with Season 2, it's only going to be in English. They already said in last week's State of the Game that they're missing other voice actors from different countries, different languages. So right now it's only going to have English. Now within Season 2, you're going to get the 2 new exotics. That's the Mantis sniper rifle, the one that you get more damage on headshots and weak points on people that aren't targeting you, and it works with your decoy skill pretty well. And then the other exotic is going to be the Vile mask. And that one is the status effects you apply also give a damage debuff, and it goes all the way up to 50% of your concussion grenade damage, which is pretty big. Those are your 2 exotics you get in Season 2. You get 1 gear set in Season 2. That's going to be Eclipse Protocol. The 2-piece gear set bonus is going to give you status effects. 3-piece is going to give you haste, skill haste, and hazard protection. And then the 4-piece is where your status effects all, spread to different people on kill. So say you ran that with like Creeping Death and the Vile mask, it would be pretty much a game changer. And then you get 2 new named weapons and 2 new named gear items I'll talk about in a second. But first, you also get a new brand set. Now all of these are going to be in the normal loot pool come tomorrow. So Title Update 10, you get all this stuff in the normal loot pool on top of being able to get it through the Season 2 rewards. Now the new brand set that's coming is called Walker, Harris, and Co. That's the one that gives you weapon damage on 1 piece, damage to armor 2 pieces, and then damage to health 3 pieces. Now remember, the damage to armor and the damage to health are both multiplicative, so it's going to be a lot more damage than your normal weapon damage increase. Now after that, it starts talking about the raid. Now we all know that the raid's release date is on June 30th, and the following week, I believe it's July 7th, is going to be the level 30 variant of the new raid. Now that's going to give you the other 2 new exotics, the Ravenous and the Revenant, I believe. And then the 2 additional gear sets. That's the Bulwark, and then also, what was the name of the other one? So you get the Ravenous and the Regulus for exotic weapons, and then you get the Foundry Bulwark and the Future Initiative. Those are going to be raid exclusive, so we're not really going to talk about those. It also says you're going to get new cosmetic rewards with the raid, but who really cares about that? So that is your Season 2 news and your raid news. So more to come on June 30th, and then remember that the level 30 variant is going to be on July 7th. Now the 2 named weapons that are coming with Season 2 that are also going to be in the normal loot drops, the Mechanical Animal. Now that one is going to be your named SIG, which is a rifle, and it's going to come with a brand new weapon talent called Future Perfection. Now, Future Perfection, that's when your weapon skills grant you 1 skill tier, and it stacks up to 3, but if you're already at tier 6, it'll grant you overcharge. So that's a pretty good weapon talent to have. Now remember, when you get these named weapon talents, they're also going to release normal versions of those weapon talents. So you'll get Future Perfection for the named weapon, and then you'll get Future Perfect for the non-named weapon talent. And then the other named weapon is called the Harmony. That is your named MK47. This one comes with Perfectly in Sync. So Perfectly in Sync is going to be the named variant, and then the unnamed variant you'll be able to get, it's just going to be called In Sync. Now this one, if you hit an enemy, you get skill damage, and then if you damage them with a skill while that buff is up, then you also get weapon damage. However, these damages are increased, doubled, if you get them at the same time. So then that's going to be 40% weapon damage and 40% skill damage. That's going to be a pretty hot one to run. That is the Harmony, and that's your named MK47. Now it also said 2 new named gear items. So those are going to be your named backpack and chest piece for the new brand set Walker, Harris, and Co. Now the backpack is going to have Perfect Adrenaline Rush, and that's going to be when you're running on an enemy and you get within 10 meters, you get bonus armor. And if all those enemies are clustered up together, then you can get it to stack up to 3 times. So that's 69% bonus armor for the named version, and then for normal Adrenaline Rush, you'll get 60% bonus armor. That's pretty wicked. Now the chest piece for Walker, Harris, and Co. is going to give you Perfect Headhunter. So after killing an enemy with a headshot, your next weapon hit within 30 seconds deals 150% damage. And that is of that killing blow that you just did on a target. Now, you'll get even more damage if you hit that enemy for more than 150%. So say you kill an enemy with a headshot, and then your next shot is, say, another headshot, and it's more than your previous one, then you're going to get even more damage. It's going to be pretty wicked. Or say you get a crit, and it's even higher than what that headshot damage was, you're going to get up to 1250%. That's nuts. Now the new skill we've already talked about, that's that Healing Trap. So that's pretty cool. The weapon talents, like I said, you get the normal version of those named versions. So it's In Sync and In Sync and Future Perfect. And then for the normal, the backpack, you'll get Adrenaline Rush, and then the chest piece, you will get Headhunter. Those are going to be your new talents. Now, as far as the difficulty scaling, they are fixing all of the loot crates and loot containers within each mission to match whatever, difficulty you're doing. So that's going to be good. They also raised all of the attribute levels to match the level, of difficulty you're doing. So if you're sitting there playing heroic, in theory, you should get way better gear than you would in challenging. And if you're in legendary, you're going to get way better gear than you would in heroic. It also said that targeted loot is going to be increased for control points, open world activities, and also all of the zones in New York City. New York City is getting a lot of buffs. Now, they also said that named items All named items are going to be in all loot pools, including the DZ. And if you are doing targeted loot, you will have a better chance of getting those named items and weapons. So that's good for the targeted loot in those, farm this today videos. Now the exotics, all the exotics are going to be added to the normal loot pool except for the Bighorn and Eagle Bearer. So Lady Death, Bullet King, all those. And then the Coyote's mask is going to drop from Coyote, doesn't matter what difficulty, because before it used to be a certain difficulty and you had to be a certain season level, but now you can just get it just by killing Coyote. Alright, also legendaries. NPCs, all NPCs and legendaries will have a higher chance to drop loot. So that is really good. Crafting bench changes. You're going to get better stuff when you use the crafting bench. Vendors, you're going to get better stuff from the vendors. They are not going to be selling purples, and it says now they will be selling named items, and these named items are going to be worth more than the other items in the vendors. That's pretty self-explanatory. Now shade levels, when you max out your season, shade levels are the field proficiency caches are also going to count towards your shade levels, so that's going to be good. Let's see, conflict. You gain season and watch XP from playing conflict now. Your rogue agent encounters, all rogue encounters will drop loot. So say you're in a 4-man group and you get 6 rogues that pop up during a mission, each of those rogues are going to drop something. Your control point officer is getting a buff. He's going to be stronger, and when he picks you up, you're also going to get bonus armor when he picks you up. Those are really good for running control points solo. Bounties, as long as you get a bounty from the Snitch, Public Execution, or Rescue Living World activities, they will give you bounties that match whatever your world is. So if you're playing in Heroic, you'll get nothing but Heroic bounties. Now as far as projects are concerned, you're going to get a Season Pass project if you're a Season Pass holder. You also get a new weekly project that will grant you an exotic and a named item cache. So there's going to be 2 new projects during this season, and the weekly shade project you'll be able to get for now on. But that Season Pass one, obviously it's only during the season. And then finally, you're also getting a legendary mission project. So if you do legendaries once a week, play the season, and finish the weekly projects, you'll be able to get a whole bunch of exotics and season or named item caches. Those are all really good changes for the projects. Now remember, RPG balancing, incoming repairs will not help out your armor kits, talents, or gear set effects. So just remember that. Don't really spec into incoming repairs, especially those mods. And then weapon handling is getting a big buff, and they're also increasing the chances of you getting that rolled as an attribute, so that's good. Remember, the weapon handling is now going to give you 8% accuracy, 8% stability, swap speed, and reload speed. That's really good. Now the talent changes. Leadership bonus armor is getting increased by 3%. Spike skill damage duration is getting raised from 8 to 15%. Reformation skill repair duration is also getting buffed up to 15 seconds. Creeping Death will no longer have a cooldown if there's no enemies nearby. So as long as you kill everybody, your Creeping Death will automatically reset for the next engagement. That's really good. Now for the PvP damage modifiers, all PvP weapon damage is nerfed by 20%. Additionally, marksman rifles will be increased by 12%. Assault rifles will be nerfed by 15%. Shotguns nerfed by 12.5%. SMGs nerfed by 10%. Pistols nerfed by 10%. And rifles nerfed by 5%. Now, specific damage modifiers, the double barrel sawed-off shotgun is going to be 16.6% damage increase. The Pestilence is getting a nerf by 10%. The classic M1A getting a nerf by 5%. The Merciless in PvP is getting a 50% nerf. The Dodge City Gunslingers holster, that talent in PvP is getting nerfed by half. The Imperial Dynasty in PvP, you will have to maintain range and line of sight for 3 seconds for that holster to go off. So that's pretty big for PvP. Now, the Plague of the Outcast from the Pestilence is not going to proc the True Patriot healing. So the only thing that will help that True Patriot healing is just face tanking your enemy. Also, remember in Negotiator's Dilemma and PvP, they reduce the range for the marked enemies to damage each other. So that's pretty big. Now, the talent modifiers, Efficient, reduce specialization bonus from 100% to 50%. That's huge. That's half for Efficient. Versatile, it's only nerfed for shotguns and SMGs by 10%. And Vanguard, you will only be invulnerable for 2 seconds instead of 5 seconds. Now the Firewall specialization, that armor kit, it will now only give you 150% instead of 200%. So they reduced that armor kit from Firewall by 50% as well. And Efficient was also reduced by 50%. So no more Efficient Firewall builds. Now for skill modifiers, the drone, striker drone, and the assault turret both got buffs, while the pulses all basically got nerfs for duration. Also, they just added this huge nerf to mortar turrets, stinger hives, and explosive seeker mines by 75%. The only way to get your stinger hive damage up is to be running skill tier 6. And again, you will not be able to run a mortar turret or explosive seeker build, it seems. They just added that 75% nerf. That's huge. Now the Firestarter Chem Launcher got nerfed as well, 20%. And then it goes into weapon balancing. Now, the biggest ones I want to name, the AKM and the F2000 were the biggest nerfs for assault rifles. For LMGs, the biggest nerfs are going to be for the MG5, and then the biggest buff is going to be for the M60. Now for marksman rifles, the biggest buff, model 700, and the biggest nerf is going to be the SVDs. For rifles, your biggest buff is going to be for the UIC 15 mod, and then the biggest nerf is going to be towards the classic M1A. SMGs, we're almost done here. Biggest buff, Tommy gun, 38.8%. And then biggest nerf, well, there's actually no nerfs in SMGs. Shotguns, biggest buff, M870. The only nerf to any shotguns is to the double barrel sawed-off. That's your sidearm. And the nerf is to the optimal range, so that's not bad. And then for the sidearms itself, the biggest buff is going to be the 586 Magnum. That got a 68.8% buff. That's pretty huge. Now as far as exotics, the Bighorn, 11.2% buff, and it actually got a lot of other great changes to it, so that's going to be pretty good for the Bighorn. The Eagle Bearer as well got a 7.8% buff, and it also has better weapon handling, so that's going to be good. The Chameleon, 32.8% buff, and a lot of its changes are pretty good. The only one I say is not good is you have to hit the body 75 times to get that weapon damage, so that's going to be pretty hard doing that in PvP with the Chameleon. Bullet King only got a 2.6% buff. The Nemesis, 11.1% buff. The Liberty got a few changes to it, but overall it's still really good. The Merciless, 12.5% buff overall, but remember it got nerfed pretty hard for PvP. But for PvE, the Merciless is going to be really strong. And then the Diamondback, 7.7% buff. so that's going to be pretty good as well. Lullaby, 11% buff. Lady Death got a lot of great changes. So many I don't really want to name them, but the Lady Death is really good, so get the Lady Death. The Chatterbox got some changes, but not for the better. So the Chatterbox, it's pretty bad now. You start off with a lower magazine and you don't get reload speed anymore. You just get more bullets in your magazine. And it already starts you off lower than what you were before. So the Chatterbox actually got a pretty bad nerf. The Pestilence as well got a pretty bad nerf overall in PvP. PvE, obviously, it's still going to be pretty good. Ninja Bike knee pads. Now performing a cover-to-cover or vaulting will reload your drawn weapon and give you 25% bonus armor for 5 seconds. That's pretty good. Now the Gunslinger's holster got a pretty good change to it. The stacking buff will now give you 10% damage per stacks up to 100, and this deals headshot damage to anywhere you hit. So Gunslinger holster again, pretty damn good. Now the BTSU gloves, they've got changes for the better. So look out for the BTSU gloves. Sawyer's knee pads, again, got pretty good change. All stacks are lost 10 seconds after moving, so if you stay still, get all those stacks and then run towards the enemies, you'll still be able to have your stacks while using the Sawyer knee pads. And then it goes to gear set changes. So gear set changes to ongoing directive. The hollow point ammo is no longer dropped on kill, and instead it's automatically added to your active weapon when killing status affected enemies. That obviously is going to be for PvE. The backpack is now going to give you increase duration for your bleed status effects by 50% and all bleed damage done by 100%. So what they did is they nerfed the skills really bad, but they buffed ongoing directive pretty good. Now other ones, tip of the spear, you're going to get pretty good changes for PvP. So it no longer requires any of that signature skill stuff or signature weapon stuff. Now it's when you deal damage with a grenade, you'll get weapon damage for PvP, tip of the spear. And then the backpack, you just get more damage. So that's going to be pretty good for PvP. Aces and eights got a change to it, increase the headshot damage. However, the 3-piece headshot damage bonus is now additive rather than multiplicative, so aces and eights kind of got pooped on pretty hard. System corruption. You now gain bonus armor in addition to granting you bonus armor. And now you get weapon damage per bonus armor you gain. So system corruption is going to have some pretty good changes. Tomorrow I want to actually show you guys. And then striker battle gear came with another buff as well. So now your stacks lost are cut by 33%, which is good. And if you wear the backpack, now you get more damage. So running, the chest piece, you'll get 100 stacks, and running the backpack, you'll get more damage. That's pretty huge. The Negotiator's Dilemma change. Now when you first mark an enemy, it'll damage both enemies. So the PvP range has changed. However, you'll get hit faster from them marking you. And then the repair skill bonus from Hardwired is increased from 15% to 30%. Now this is going to be a common trend. All repair skill bonuses for all gear set and brand set bonuses have been increased. Same with skill durations. So Alp Summit, Murakami, Richter, and Kaiser, all of those got increases to their repair skills and incoming repairs. Now Providence, Araldi Holding, and Grupo Sombra all got headshot damage increases. Overlord Armament, Douglas and Harding, and Fenris all got reload speed, stability, accuracy buffs. So basically anything weapon handling got a buff. Now the other changes, The Stinger Hive, Mortar Turret, and Explosive Seeker Mines will now display its bleed damage and duration. And the Seeker Mines targeting accuracy has been improved. For the Hive, the Stinger Hive base damage was reduced. However, you'll get it back if you run it 6 skill tier. The Riot Foam duration got nerfed. The Firefly blind duration got nerfed. The Pulses, all of those durations got nerfed. And the Shock Trap duration got nerfed. Basically all of your status effects. But that's it, you guys. Try to do that as quick as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you stuck around for the whole thing, thank you. I'm Kamikazevondoom. I hope you guys hit that like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.